first step in organizing your pantry is to empty your entire pantry. So everything you have in your pantry, take it out, put it on the kitchen counter, on the kitchen table, so that you can start with a blank slate. Second step is to identify which shelf in your pantry is at your arm length level. So this shelf here, where I have all these plastic drawers, is at my arm's reach. And this is according to my height, and I use the pantry the most, so that is how I've organized it. So this will be your main focal point, and I suggest you guys using the shelf that you can reach the easiest as your anchoring point, and in other words, as your starting point where you want to start putting your things. And you will notice here that in this shelf, this is the only shelf that has this pull-out drawers. And I'll explain why in a second. So these are items here are the heavy items. So as you can see here, I have different sauces like teriyaki sauce, peanut sauce. I have some hot sauce and ketchup. This is peanut butters, some pasta sauces, vinegars. So in other words, these things are kind of heavy to lift. So I wanted to put them in the space that's easily accessible. And let's say if I pull out this drawer, I can just like pull out this vinegar and then put the drawer back in there. So it's very easy to do, and I don't have to struggle to pull anything out that's heavy. And at the same time, I can see everything that's in this drawer. So because it's at the arm's reach level, I can see inside of the drawer to see what's in there. In the past, I had these plastic drawers up here, and I will tell you that it wasn't the best thing because, as you can see, even though those plastic drawers are see-through and you can kind of see what's in them, but you can't really see everything. So for example, if this first bottle is apple cider vinegar and that second bottle is champagne vinegar, I won't be able to tell. But like if I pull out this drawer, I can easily see like what it is. So, and regarding those drawers, they are, or the plastic, I call them drawers, but they're probably more like plastic containers. They are from the Container Store, and I will put the name of them in the description so that you guys can go and view them. And they are not that expensive. And what I like about them is they come in different sizes. So let me show you these ones. So I have my pasta here. So if you see, I'm approximately measuring like 4 fingertips. So this is like a larger size one. And this is more of a medium size. If you can see, these are 4 fingers, and this is more like 3. And they also have smaller ones too. They have like one that is probably half the size of this one. The ones that you can put, I think they were meant to put like very skinny bottles of sauces or maybe oils, things like that. I don't have them because I just like to store my sauces like this, like 2 in one bucket, like 2 in a row. But if you wanted, you can get like skinnier ones. And another aspect of these pull-out drawers that I like is that they're modular because they come in different sizes. You can measure your shelf, the length of your shelf, and then you can mix and match. So you can put the larger ones, the smaller ones, whatever fits your shelf. So I think most shelves will fit some sort of combination of these drawers. So besides my sauces on this right side, I also have some of the pasta and some noodles. Some of the stuff that I access the most is here in those buckets. So this pasta, my noodles, there's some sugar for baking, and then I have my coconut oils and some breadcrumbs and some of the miscellaneous things here on the left. And you will notice here that I don't have the containers jam-packed up to here, is because then I wouldn't be able to pull out, for example, this plastic container out of there. For now, I just have napkins here resting because I do use napkins a lot, but they're so easy to remove if I wanted to access this drawer. And this drawer is really just for baking, and I don't bake every day, so I don't need to access this thing every day. So this works for me, and this is something that I suggest you guys also implement. And also those plastic drawers are relatively cheap, so They're very accessible for a lot of people to buy to keep you organized. Next shelf I'm going to cover is the shelf down below. And this is probably one of my favorite shelves here, you guys. It is all of my mason jars with my dried goods. Starting on the right, I have grains, so my brown rice, some farro, some couscous. So all of my grains are kind of just organized on this right side. And then which is followed by beans and lentils. Then I have nuts and seeds, and then they slowly transition to my baking supplies. So this is, like, as you can see, coconut sugar. I have baking soda, and these are all my like flours, some of the alternative flours, such as coconut flour, chickpea flour, etc. And then as I go down the row here, these are stuff that I bought in bulk to have at home for now. And this is my white flour, whole wheat flour, and sugar. And these containers, they're not glass, so they're plastic. They're from OXO, and they're actually cereal containers. So let me pull one out. This one is an empty one. This one pops open like that, and so that you can pull out your cereal or pour your cereal out very easily. And I accidentally bought a lot of those containers, so I just decided to put my white flour in them, just because I have so many of them, or so much of the flour, that I would have probably used like 4 or 5 of the large mason jars. So I decided instead to keep them in here for now. But I strongly recommend you guys keep your grains, your beans, your baking stuff in glass mason jars for multiple reasons. So first reason is that glass is always better than plastic. It's more environmentally friendly, it's less toxic, and mason jars keep out the moisture, and they keep out the air pretty nicely. Secondly, mason jars are widely available in a lot of grocery stores. You can buy them online. And thirdly, they're very cheap, or they're relatively cheap compared to other fancy containers for your food items. So for those reasons, I will always go with glass mason jars first to store your pantry items. And as you can also see here, the way I've labeled my mason jars is simply using a permanent marker. So I take the permanent marker and I just write down the content on top of the lid. And I don't use any kind of like fancy stickers or labelers or anything like that, because first of all, I don't have time for it, and this is just like the simplest solution. And believe it or not, so this is a permanent marker, but it comes off very easily with soap and water, and you kind of just like scrub it a little bit with your sponge. Or sometimes if you've had it labeled for a long time, sometimes it may not come off as easily, and in that case you can just use rubbing alcohol on a cotton ball and just rub this off, and it comes right off very, very easily. So this is my quick little tip on how to label your mason jars. So I would call these two, like this shelf and the shelf below, as my two main shelves. And the reason why I have my mason jars a little like below my eyesight level is because I have them, as you can see, the labels are on top of the jars, so that when I'm looking down, I can easily see the universe of my pantry. I can see where my beans are, where my greens are. Compared to what I used to have them, is I used to have them like this, so like at a more of an eyesight level. And I used to have labels, so I used to have like those Avery labels on them. You can see some of them have come off, and it was not the best solution, because when I'm looking down on them, or I'm looking like straight at my shelf with mason jars, or if even I'm looking a little bit up, it's hard to see what's there. Like you can clearly see the first jar, probably the second jar, but everything like built like behind on the shelf, it's very hard to see. So I always had to like pull out jars and rearrange things to find my items, which was not efficient and not a very good use of my time. So this is a better solution, where if I stand up, I can clearly see what I have, what I don't have, and how much of it I have, and then just easily let's say pull it out. Let's say if I wanted to pull out, my chickpeas, I can just like reach back and just pull it out really quickly. I don't have to rearrange or touch any of the other jars. Okay, now moving down below. So this shelf here, it is more like a miscellaneous snack shelf. So what I have here is my protein powder, my oatmeal, some pretzels. This is a little basket with different spices and miscellaneous things I don't normally use. And then some extra flour that I have because of quarantine that I bought. So I don't normally have so much flour at home, but this is some extra ones that I have here. So as you can see, this is kind of like catch-all shelf, but it works for me. I didn't want to transfer the items into the mason jars here because I do have like this big tub, so there's really no point. Just kind of like sitting there nice and neat. And then my last, or the very bottom shelf, this is where I have the cat food, some extra oils, soft drinks, and my husband's protein powder. Those are here. So it is not, I mean, may not look as neatly organized, I guess, on this video, but it is far better than it was, and it works for me. So I really don't want to transfer the cat food into any other containers because these are huge bags. So I just like rather leave them there like that. And then this kind of works for us because there's still room to walk inside of this closet, kind of like that, where in the past this whole floor space was full with bags and things and you couldn't really step inside. So as long as I can step inside and this is somewhat neatly organized, I'm happy with that. All right, the next shelf we're going to cover is the shelf that's above your eyesight level. So this was, if you remember, this was our anchoring shelf, or our anchor shelf. And then the one going above, this is where I like to keep my canned items. So you'll see I have lots of pasta sauce, and I have some canned beans for convenience, some olive oil, some salsa. So again, I don't normally have this many canned goods, but we kind of just bought them because we have been making a lot of pasta sauce while we've been staying at home. So this is where I suggest you put your canned stuff. So because I normally don't have that many canned goods, I don't have these, they have some metal racks and shelves to put your canned goods. Like they kind of just go like this way horizontally. I don't have them because I don't really need them. I just kind of like neatly organize them, and that works for me. But if you wanted to get those shelves, I think they have them on Amazon, and your canned goods, I think you probably can put about 20-25 of them on each shelf and kind of just like neatly slide out. I don't really need that for now, so this works for me because I don't really have that many canned items. And then here on the left, this is what we call my husband's corner. And this is his energy drink and some of his Gatorade powders that he likes to keep at his level. It's kind of like on the left side, this is his corner. That way he doesn't have to look through the pantry to find items. And that's something that I suggest you guys do as well. If you have a family member at home who just wants his or her stuff put in a specific corner, you can kind of just like delegate that corner to that person, or dedicate that corner to that person, and they can store their items so that they don't have to waste their time going through different baskets and things to find their things. And that way it's easier for you too, because if other people start going through your baskets, and it can get messy sometimes. So it's easier to just have one corner dedicated to certain people where they can just like put their stuff and store them neatly. And then going above, so this is probably, I can reach this, but like something like that. But this is where I keep the stuff that I don't normally use. So this is my vacuum sealer, and these are two of the baskets. So this has some of the baking things in there, like molds and things like that. And that basket there has tea. I have a lot of tea, and this is my sous vide container. So I don't normally use those things, that's why they're a little bit higher up. And on the very top shelf, you can see for this, I definitely need a ladder. to access it. But the stuff that I have there is not something I use every day. So you can see there's some boxes. Some of them are empty boxes actually of the kitchen appliances, and some of them have stuff in them, such as a popcorn maker or mandolin. But I don't use it that often. That's why I put it up on the shelf there. And that's what I strongly recommend you guys do, is the stuff that you don't often use, put it as high up or as possible, not even down, because like this shelf here or the space here, you still want to put the stuff that you can access easily. So, but heavier stuff, and that's why I have my cat food here. But the stuff that I don't access normally and that could be heavy, that goes on top. And lastly, what I wanted to show you guys is my spice rack. You can see that I have those spice shelves or spice racks. They're modular, so they come in sets. So like one set here, second set here, etc. It is mounted onto the wall, and those shelves did come with the house, so we didn't buy them. I'll try to find something similar online. I'm sure there's probably something on Amazon that's available. And the way I have my spices organized is by alphabetical order. So you can see all the A's are here, B's and C's, etc. It's just so much easier to find your spices this way when they're organized in alphabetical order, other than anything else. So, and because I have so many spices, I also have my second rack. So these guys are mounted onto the wall, but then this rack over here, it is kind of just like a separate rack I had. And I got it on Amazon for about $40. And I have my extra spices here. So what I put here is, these are kind of out of alphabetical order, but these are taller bottles and they don't really fit above. So I put them here, and then kind of just like continuing on with my alphabetical order of my spices, such as sage and like all the teas and things like that here. So, and this is not mounted on the wall. I don't really need to. It kind of just like nicely sits there, but you could do that if you wanted to. So I strongly suggest you guys buy spice racks if you have a lot of spices, and not those round spinning things for your counter for spices. I'm not a fan of those for a couple of reasons. One reason is that it looks messy on the counter. You would want to have your spices put away either in a drawer or on a spice rack like this in the pantry. And then secondly is the spice rack it can't really hold a lot of spices. So if you only have a handful of spices, then that may work for you. One trick I also have here is, you can see here I have this spice jar that's labeled by me, it says cinnamon. It did not have cinnamon here before, so what I like to do is when I run out of spices, I actually I'm trying to stop buy spices in jars, and I buy them by the ounce because they're so much cheaper that way and they're way fresher. So, but I save those jars. So for example, this one, ground coriander, it's an empty jar. I'm kind of saving it so I can put other spices in it, and I'm going to relabel.